by Councilor Hogan, Councilor Driscoll, Council President Hudson, Councilor Schultz, and Councilor Allen. And I'll turn it over to you, Commissioner O'Connor.
Thank you, Councilor. Brad O'Connor, Commissioner of Finance, and with me here today is the new Director of Accounting, Kristen Bennett, and I will turn it over to you. She's only been here for about 3 weeks, so still getting up to speed, but so far doing great. So Bureau of Accounts, this is really the most consistent of the three financial bureaus that we're talking about today. You know, we're not going to talk about these major overhauls and trading a ton of people around between departments. What the Bureau of Accounts does, it's largely three major functions. Accounting and reporting is the first. So every dollar that comes into the city or goes out of the city goes through the Bureau of Accounts accounting system. Treasury management is related to that. So we're managing the cash, the liquidity of the city, the cash flow of the city, any investments, any borrowing. So our goal there is to maximize the interest income that we're earning and minimize the cost of borrowing. And so we're actively managing our cash and investments and debt to accomplish that. And the other, and probably the busiest of the functions in the Bureau of Accounts is accounts payable. So this is the last line of defense before money leaves the door. So they're responsible for vouchers, requisitions, claims, and their process ensures that any invoice that's presented to the city is authorized to be paid, whatever that authorization looks like, whether it's through legislation, through budget appropriation, whatever the case is. They're the experts in what can be paid and what should be paid, and typically you don't want to mess with them because they don't budge from the requirements. We're always busy in the Bureau of Accounts, but we're not making headlines. A couple of things we did in the last year actually did make some headlines that we're kind of proud of. We, for the first time that I could see recorded, we didn't need a revenue anticipation note. We were able to manage our cash better, manage our debt better, to make it through the fiscal year without borrowing, and that borrowing historically has cost the city about $500,000. So we were able to save that this year, and you probably remember last summer us moving some money around from some funds to other funds. At the time we said, boy, this would be great if we didn't need to borrow the $40 million that we historically borrow. We weren't sure we were going to make it, but through some good active management of our treasury, we were able to make it through the year. We also, over the winter, just a couple of months ago, we issued an audit in the same calendar year as the fiscal year for the first time that I'm aware of, and that audit came with no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal controls for the first time since those reports were issued or required to be issued by auditors. Also just recently announced, we were able to improve our credit rating for the city from an A to an A+. That saves the city quite a bit of money in borrowing, and almost as important as that, it kind of shows the public that we're being careful with their money.
Do you know roughly how much we're talking in savings?
It's hard to tell. I mean, there's so much that goes into the interest rates, and really when it comes to the interest rates on our bonds, which our bonds could be anywhere from 15 million to 40 million, they go out to bid, and we will award it to the lowest bidder, the lowest interest rate. But it's every day those numbers are changing, and it's based on what's the market saying and what each of those individual companies are thinking on a daily basis, and how much they value. Each of them is going to value it differently. We'll know in June, or we'll have a better idea in June about how much they value that credit rating increase. So, you know, things are going well. It's a fairly mature bureau. We do, like in all the other departments, we do have some turnover. We do have some new people. Maintaining where we are, I think, is going to be one of the biggest challenges. It's, you know, we were able to issue these financials with no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. It wasn't automatic. It was a lot of hard work, and it was a lot of backward-looking hard work. I know you have all asked for financial statements as quickly as we could get them to you, and we haven't been able to get them to you quickly. And that's one of our goals going forward. We want our financial reporting, we want it to be relevant. We don't want to hand someone financials that they don't want to look at or aren't going to benefit them in some way. We want it to be accurate, always been a goal. And one thing we haven't been able to do, we want it to be timely. So Kristen and her team are going to be working over the next few months to try to improve our interim financial reporting. You know, rather than saying we did a really good job in December of telling you about our financial position in June, we're going to try to get that out a little bit quicker and try to understand how we can, you know, we're not going to get to, you know, a corporate public company financial close where in 10 days we've completely closed the books and we've got a full set of auditable financials. But we're looking for some middle ground where we can give you better, more timely updates on where we are financially and give the administration more timely updates and figure out what we need to do to get there. So if we look at the personnel services details, like I said, not a lot of change. We did move 2 positions. As I told you in last meeting, Anne Marie Deegan moved from Bureau of Accounts into Bureau of Financial Operations, and we moved an individual who was in financial operations back into Bureau of Accounts just because their work, a lot of the work, the lines between some of these departments are blurred, and you know, 60% of what they do is consistent with one department and 40% with another. This individual was doing, her work was lined up a little more closely with what the Bureau of Accounts is doing, so we moved her into the Bureau of Accounts. For the actual dollars budgeted here, you'll see budgeted for fiscal year 22, we had $992,678. That's increasing slightly for fiscal year 23, $1,004,453. You'll see projected for fiscal year 22, we're way under that, and that again, like you've heard in probably every other meeting, we can't find the people, so we've got massive vacancies and saving money in the short term, but it isn't coming at a non-monetary cost.
Professional services, is that SIR again? Mm-hmm.
Professional services is SIR. So actually what you're seeing here is in fiscal year 22, we moved the payroll team into financial operations. So if you remember from our financial operations discussion, we had 3 SIR employees. Those were payroll people. 2 of them retired, so we're left with 1 in financial operations, but we moved that team into FinOps in 22.
So those salaries don't include FinOps, right?
That's right. Yes, that's right.
So that jump from 664 to 820 to 980 is a reflection of the added staff that you.
The 820. So the if you look at fiscal year 22 adopted versus projected, so we are projected to be 136,000 or so under our budget. That's entirely vacancies that we haven't been able to fill. The jump from 21 to 22, probably what that is swapping out so we moved payroll from BOA into FinOps, and we moved accounts payable from FinOps into BOA.
Okay.
Just moving around.
Other questions? All right. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
WCNY, we are done.